Will I be the a-hole for straight up leaving and ghosting my fiance after I found out she cheated? I, 28M, have found out that my fiance, 30F of 2 years, cheated on me. We've been together for 6 years and in love with each other. At least, that's how it was for me. She has been acting more distant and became more protective of her phone for the last 2 months. At first, I was not suspicious of anything, but the doubt grew more and more inside of me as the time passed, especially after asking her if there was a problem since she felt distant. She said there is no problem, and that was it. I gave in and snooped on her phone to discover she has been sexting a guy for the last 2 months. I was devastated. At the beginning of our relationship, I clearly told her lying and cheating in any form are the 2 unforgivable actions for me. Yet she decided to cheat on me after 5 years of a relationship, and we had been planning the wedding for this summer. I'm not proud of that, but I checked the old messages as well, but there was no case of cheating other than this. I have been thinking about it for the last few days. I tried to rationalize it and told myself I cannot be leaving a 6-year relationship because of a single mistake, but after having a long talk with my oldest sister, I realized I should respect myself and leave. She was the one who betrayed the relationship, not me. We do not have any shared assets and leases on my fiance's name. I have an inherited house, but it's in another city. Tomorrow, I am planning to just get important things from the house, block her from everywhere, and just leave. I do not want closure, to be honest. I just want to grieve the relationship. I thought maybe I did not love her given that I want to leave her right away, but it's not like that. It hurts a lot. I tend to stress eat, watch adult videos, doom scroll, and spiral into depression in these kinds of situations. I have that experience from my early 20s. By going no contact and returning back to the city where my family lives, this will give me a circle that can support me. Will I be the a-hole if I straight up leave and ghost her without saying anything? Here are some relevant comments. User 1 said, "You should heavily consider to share them with important parties such as your ex's parents. Otherwise, they might harass you or spread vile lies that your ex might tell them to save face. Remember that it's easier to explain your side before people are filled with rage and doubts about your character. It really sucks to hear what you're going through. I wish you the best of luck navigating it all." Then OP replied with, "It might create legal problems though." Then user 2 said, "I second all the comments that call for you to keep screenshots as evidence. If you do go ahead with ghosting, the likelihood is that without explanation from you, she's going to play the poor, abandoned fiance and claim she has no clue why you've left. This way, if you have proof, she can't play the victim and turn you into some sort of monster. I wouldn't personally ghost. I would at least have a conversation, even if it was only to very firmly say, 'I'm leaving and I want nothing to do with you. Do not contact me or my family.' And then I would make sure they know why. However, I can't judge you for just wanting to get out immediately. Not the a-hole." I do have the screenshot text messages. I don't think she would be able to victimize herself here. And finally, user 3 said, "Not the a-hole. Sure, an explanation would be nice, but who cares about being nice at this point? Also, I'm sure you don't want to hear her excuses and lies. Leaving this way might be for the best. If you guys need closure, that can be done in the future. You can only go from here. Good luck." Yes, the main thing is that I do not want to hear her lies and excuses. She cheated and that's it for me. It does not matter why after that. Update. Firstly, I will not spread screenshots on social media or anywhere. That is illegal and a low blow, even if it does not contain sexual parts. It's a private thing, and I am not planning to use these unless she plays dirty. One of my sisters came early in the morning to take me after my fiance left for work, and we packed some small things. As the lease is on her name, I do not have furnitures and stuff like that. We packed clothes, accessories, and other small personal things. Her car is an SUV type, so we were able to fit most of the required things, thankfully. I cannot take the ring, though. I left the keys under the flower pot and put a sticky on the refrigerator saying, "I know, bye." The drive took about 7 hours, and we safely arrived at the inherited house. On the ride, I received countless messages and calls from unknown numbers, but did not answer. Once we arrived at the home, my eldest sister called me asking if we arrived. She told me my fiance called her crying around 3 p.m., and my sister told her not to contact me. We know. And we know everything. And if she tries to paint me in a bad way in any way, we would not use only words, but do not back away from showing solid proof to people. My fiance requested to know where I am and to speak to me. My sister said I am fine and she should not contact me in any form. When my fiance said we at least deserve closure, my sister replied, "Too bad, suck it up." Not exactly how, but that's how I should translate that idiom, and ended the call. I still get calls and messages from unknown numbers. In the end, her father and mother called me. Surprisingly, my fiance came clean to them, and while they hoped me to give her a chance, they respected my decision. I thanked them and wished the best of luck. Her father told me he will be sending the rings money and asked me for my bank account. He actually sent it by adjusting to inflation, so I got a pretty decent amount. The house is in an almost perfect condition as we renovated it before Mom passed away. It's just incredibly dusty and dirty after not being used since then. My 3 sisters will come this weekend and we will clean together. Eldest broke up with her girlfriend recently, so she plans to live with me after her lease ends in a few months. She has been complaining about the rent prices for a while. My sisters are pretty much my only family, so I only informed them with some really close friends. I am planning on going to therapy after settling here. It may sound weird how close I am with my sisters, but we grew up like that. We grew up with an abusive father, and as I was the only man and youngest one, all of the physical and emotional abuse went towards me. We bonded with each other through trauma, and they tend to be a bit protective with me. I think that history is one of the reasons I just did not want to face my ex-fiance. I thought I got over that, considering nothing happened since family therapy that we took, but it seems to be there. I'll get into therapy as soon as possible to understand everything and resolve the problems. I will post it if there are any updates, but I just hope there will not be any. I just want to have peace and grieve right now. Here are some more relevant comments. User 1 said, "It sounds as if you are on the right path and have a great support system. Yay, sisters, for having your back. Good luck, OP." Thank you. I did not know what I could do if my sisters were not there. Then user 2 said, "OP, I am so happy for you, and good for you for getting out. I read your original post. Your message to her was perfect, short, sweet, and to the point." Thank you. I tried to keep it as short as possible. Many people said it would be weird to disappear without a simple note, so that's what I did. And finally, user 3 said, "This was not an easy thing to go through. It's great that your family and her parents are supportive and understanding. She made the wrong choice and has to live with the consequences of her actions." Her parents are incredible people. I am glad they did not push for anything further. Yo, good for OP. He said, "All right, I'm out, I'm gone. I didn't even need to have that conversation." Some people need to, and he understands why he didn't have to. But he's going to therapy, and that's good. Because, you know, as we've read some stories, from the cheater's perspective, or have gotten their insight and their mindset, some of them want that reaction. Some of them want that confrontation. So maybe the fiance was that type of person. I don't know. She was probably going to justify and lie and then maybe blame OP because that is some of the tactics they use. But he's like, "Nah, I ain't having that. Bye." And then he walked away and said, "You know, I'm going to this house that I inherited. Have fun with your lease, jerk." Next story. Story number 2. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my parents to sleep in the same bed? I think you know where this is going, but there's no definite answer on who is in the wrong. Also, for simplicity's sake, I'll be saying parents, but it is my mother and stepfather. My mother and stepdad who have been together since I was little. So, I am a 25-year-old woman with 2 older siblings, both male. When we were growing up, we were never allowed girlfriends or boyfriends to spend the night, which I felt was fair enough. When my brothers got to be about 16, however, their girlfriends were allowed to spend nights, but they had to sleep in the spare room. Again, fair. That makes sense to me. I was always somewhat of a tomboy, so as you can imagine, teen boys didn't show much interest in me romantically. So I didn't get my first boyfriend until I was already 18. My parents wouldn't allow him to spend the night at all, despite us both being over 18. I wouldn't have minded if my brothers had been held to that standard, but I felt as if they were favored over me. It isn't even because they disliked my boyfriend at the time either. Everyone seemed to love him. That relationship didn't last more than 6-ish months, so I dropped it after a while. I got with my now fiance when I was 22, and we've been engaged for a year. We are getting married in only a few months. Still, just like every time before, my parents wouldn't allow him to spend the nights until after a few months after we got engaged, after I brought it up to them. It wasn't a conflict, but they knew I was irritated and allowed him to start using the spare room. We moved in together not long after, so it didn't really matter. Now, I may be an a-hole. My mother asked about wedding planning, the first time she even contacted me since the move, and I told her I still had a lot to sort out, but I was getting through it, and she practically insisted on coming up to me and having a weekend of mother-daughter bonding time, where she would help me with the wedding planning. My fiance isn't a very social person and is happy to be the money bags behind my wedding decisions. He just likes to give his little opinions, and I'm sure to include them when he does. My parents arrived and we spent the first day going out to dinner. I'd like to point out that the two aren't married and are steadfast that they won't be getting married again. Both of them are divorced already, my stepdad twice. So, as the night was slowing down, they asked to be shown to their room. I directed my mother to one guest room and my stepfather to another. We have a 3-bedroom with no kids yet, so we have the space. My mother said that there was plenty of room in one for both and instructed my stepdad to come in with her. I explained that, just like she told me, it was my house and I didn't want them sharing a bed in my house. I basically repeated word for word what she told me when I'd complain about my brothers getting better treatment than me when it came to their partners. I told her that actually they were in the same position I was in because neither of us were married. She tried saying it was different because they had been together for almost 20 years. I told them that it didn't matter because this is my house and my decision is final, just like how my mother would shut down any discussions about it back then. I was sure to mention how my brothers were always allowed their partners and I wasn't, but she claimed I was making it up. They stayed the night and left for home the next day, which I preferred because I was happy wedding planning on my own, and I haven't heard from them since. My grandmother has called to tell me off for it though, so I'm wondering if I am in the wrong. Am I the a-hole? Edit. A lot of people are confused. At my mother's house, we were not allowed to ever sleep in the same bed. Ever. Only months after we got engaged did my mother allow him to sleep in the spare room. Also, I said I don't mind the rules they have. It's their home, but it was the double standard for me. I had to wait until 25 to have my fiance stay at my house when my brothers could have whoever they wanted from 16. We were engaged by the time they let him. I was no longer a child, and it's not like I've been holding on to resentment for years after it stopped, as some misguided people claim. It was months ago it ended. Also, my intention was never to make them sleep the whole week separately. It was initially a now the power is in my hands, do you see the error of your ways situation. If they did, we could have moved on and laughed about it, and they would have slept in the same bed. Because they didn't and doubled down and started getting aggressive with me, claiming I was making things up, I stuck to it. I know I am being somewhat of an a-hole, but am I the a-hole in the situation? Here are some relevant comments. One user asked, are your brothers your full brothers or half brothers? No, my brothers are my whole blood brothers. Our parents started divorcing before I was born. Another user said, it's in the past, grow up. What do you mean that it's in the past? It was months ago, not years. OP, you are being petty. They have been together for 25 years and have slept with each other. They presumably just didn't want you or your brothers to sleep with people as teens. Way to miss the point of the whole post. I never disagreed with the teen rule. What I disagreed with was the sexism, and that I had to wait until I was engaged at 25 to even have him sleep in the spare room. Then another user said they could be common law married. Also, you could have just offered it as a joke. I am in the UK. We don't have that. Also, I was more than hoping and even intended for it to be a joke. I was hoping my mother would see her hypocrisy and we could laugh about it. I didn't intend on actually making them sleep separately. Only when she turned on me and got aggressive with me did I stick to my guns. OP, if they were helping you out and it's their house, then they're allowed to have rules, especially if they were supporting you financially. So, I got engaged to my fiance last year while living with my parents. They were in no way responsible for me financially in any way, shape, or form. I paid rent, bills, and bought my own food. They didn't pay for anything. A few months, about 2-ish after getting engaged, we had an argument that he still wasn't able to stay at the house. She caved and allowed him to sleep in the spare room. This was the last straw, and I started looking for a house to buy. I then bought my house outright, though it wasn't as big as I was saving for, and moved into it with my fiance. Since I wasn't charging him rent or utilities, he wanted to pay for the wedding on his own. I am here from the UK. It's extremely rare for parents to financially support their adult children here. OP, just be the bigger person. And did you ever talk to them calmly? I chose to be the bigger person for 7 years, trying to voice my opinion and was shut down every time. In my opinion, I needed to show this to them because they would not listen, and then they called me a liar and that I was making it all up. Surely as parents, that was their opportunity to be the bigger person and admit wrongdoing, no? And just to reiterate one more time, they never let him sleep in the room with me, ever. Only after we were engaged did they let him sleep in the spare room. I say as much in my post. Update post, 7.5 months later. So it's been a while and my post blew up. I even saw it on Facebook, which is crazy. So, onto the update. After I let the dust settle, I contacted my brothers and asked for their perception, and they mostly agreed with me. They said exactly what I said, that their girlfriends were staying in their beds at 18, let alone not even allowed to sleep in the house at 22. They mentioned that our parents only mentioned the disagreement I had with them once in passing when they got home, but once my oldest brother reminded them that it was true and that they were allowed partners over as teens, they never brought it up again. It took a couple of weeks, but my mother called me to talk. At first, she maintained that it was probably only a few times they were allowed girlfriends to sleep over, but I was quick to shut it down. Everything she said, I had an answer for. I admit, stress from the wedding planning was taking a toll on my self-control. It ended with my mother admitting that she must have forgotten it all, so I just left it. A win is a win. She asked if we could put it all behind us, and I said as soon as she apologized, then we could. She said that she understands how it may have come across as sexist and favoritism, but she didn't mean it to. They were just overly protective of me being their only girl and didn't realize how that would come across to me. It may not seem like much from my mother, but that's as good as a bunch of flowers and a please forgive me card. So, the wedding went off without a hitch in November, and everyone had a whale of a time. It was nothing short of magical, and I had all my family members there with me. Couldn't have asked for anything more. So, to everyone saying how my parents were never going to talk to me again, and that I was prioritizing petty revenge over a relationship with my parents, please touch grass. If something so small would separate you from your family, that says more about you and your family than it does about me and mine. We all have faults, but come on, a bit dramatic. There are a lot of people calling me a justified a-hole, which I kind of get, and a lot are saying I'm not the a-hole. The ones convinced I'm being a hellspawn on Earth just make me laugh. People talk about how I have no respect. I respect your opinion, but I vehemently disagree with it. To me, I was just showing the same respect I was given. Thank you everyone that was invested. I really needed the validation that I'd done the right thing when my mind was all fuzzy and clouded from stress. General consensus is that I wasn't an a-hole, but I was petty. Whether you love the pettiness or not, and I can get behind that. Not the most drama-filled update, but I wanted to put a close on all of this. Thank you all. Here are some more relevant comments. One user asked, have you stayed over at their place since? What were the sleeping arrangements? We stayed over for Christmas in the same bed, and obviously they'll be allowed to sleep together next time they visit me. I wasn't planning on sticking to separating them in my original post, but she pushed my buttons. So, what do you guys think? Is the a-hole, is not the a-hole somewhere in the middle? Maybe they both are? I see where OP's coming from, and I wouldn't have done what she did, but also she was like gonna do it as like a one-off thing, and then the mom was like, that never happened, and then OP was like, okay, what the heck, mom? This instance that she is describing, it's, you know, kind of common in a lot of families to be more overprotective of the girl, the daughter, especially if you're the youngest or something like that. So, you know, that's kind of what I was assuming was the case in this story. But I don't know. I wouldn't have done what she did, but I'm not gonna like blame her. And then mom recognized their shortcoming. I don't know. I'm not mad or anything. I'm not like, I don't have any hate towards anybody in this story. I don't hate anybody in this story. But what do you guys think? Next story. Story number 3. My mom is an influencer, and I hate her for it. My mom, F45, has become a Facebook influencer. I, F16, used to not care when she took photos, but it's gotten crazy. Everything she does is now posted or live streamed online. Even if somewhere says don't photograph or film, she would find a way to film it. It was annoying at first, but now it's downright frustrating, especially since 3 months ago when she got really into it. I also completely understand the irony of me posting this on Reddit, but I just needed someone to hear me out. I declined my 16th birthday party, so she threw a giant party claiming it was for her anniversary, my brother's graduation, and my birthday. There were 150 guests, and between my dad, my brother, and myself, we only covered 30 of them. I don't even know how much of that party she wasn't on her screen for since she was constantly filming and uploading it, along with a lot of her friends. I really wanted to perform there. I practiced for months, but the idea of her filming and uploading it made me so nervous I backed down. I don't like being photographed photographed or filmed. Even as a kid, I didn't. Another time, we went on vacation and every second it was filmed. When we got to a hotel, we weren't allowed in until she recorded the room, even if we just drove for 8 hours and wanted sleep. She would take her time in areas she could photograph, even if it was a rock, an actual thing she did. But when me, my dad, and brother tried to enjoy a non-aesthetic place, I felt rushed, like she wanted to just go. If we got food, she didn't let us eat or move the food until photos and videos were taken, even having us pose with the food or announce what it is. That one annoyed me. One time, we traveled by car and it was over 10 hours since we ate. When we got a chance to eat dinner, she took my food before I got a chance and was recording it, saying things like, "Ooh, how delicious." And I was so tired and hungry, I just gave up and started tearing up. On the vacation, when we went on a boat, she was live streaming. She was calling out followers, thanking them and saying how much she loved them all. The boat was going to check out Alcatraz, and I thought it was so disrespectful, especially because it was a public area, and not everyone wants to be filmed. And also, the history of the island makes me feel that it needs to be respected and not treated as a background to a video. One thing that made me want to write this post was because I was trying to get a drink out of the soda machine. She had me pour out the ice from the cup so she could record me doing it for a shot. I have a certain ice to soda ratio I like, and it was perfect the first time. After that, I didn't get it correct, and it was just a damper on an already not so great day. After that, she held up my soda and was showing it off to the camera, and I had to just wait until she was done. Another thing is, I've started to envy her followers. She gives them so much more attention than me. She goes off on my dad about how much closer I am with him than her, but I asked her to watch a movie with me and she declines. Her reasoning is always that she has a live stream later that she's hosting, or a video to film, or her followers are live. She has turned me down so many times that I've just stopped trying to hang out with her, since if I do get her around, she's just on her phone. One time I asked for her opinion and she snapped that she was tired from her job and that she needed time to post. She live streams so much that sometimes I have to skip meals because she can't have the background noise, and she live streams in the middle of the kitchen. She live streams for hours, and if she had any issue with the internet, she makes everyone power down their devices so she can get a better connection. The most attention she has given me recently was recorded. I was in a dance class, and the only time she looked at me was when she was recording what I was doing. The instructor praised me and my work multiple times, and she didn't even notice. I checked and she was watching a live stream. I feel like I'm going crazy when she posts about me. I feel exposed, like I have no control. My dad keeps saying she views the world through a lens, and I have no clue if this is how parents are nowadays, but it's terrible. I am so sorry if anyone else has to grow up like this. Edit. My dad isn't pleased. He's told me he's gotten into arguments with how much she films. I got to see a show I wanted to for a while, and he brought her to the city, handed her her train ticket back, and went to see it with only me and my brother. He wants her to have a hobby, but he agrees it's a bit excessive. Edit 2. My dad has been arguing against her in this. He's always been a mediator between us and her, and if I want or need something from her and she isn't responding fairly, he steps in. When she's live streaming and wants quiet, he's popping in or living life normally, making noise like most people do at home. For what he's concerned, her hobby shouldn't have an impact on his day. Edit number 3. My dad has been encouraging me as of recently to ignore her. He's arguing against how extreme her vlogging has gotten, and I know how much trouble I'm in since my house in town is shown and listed on her Facebook. Also, the copyright has been getting her recently, and seeing her get upset at videos being strucken has been my gold. She's brought up how doctors were telling her to abort me, but she pressed on, and I'm her sunshine baby. Unfortunately, she's against therapy. I asked to go due to witnessing a traumatic event, and it ended with her crying. Regarding on if my mom does MLM, she used to work for one actually. It was one of those all-natural little bit of everything brands. I told her it was an MLM and what exactly an MLM was, and she didn't appreciate that comment much. Her thing is currently buying boxes of bags and jewelry and reselling it along with being an influencer. The MLM was when I was in elementary school and she used her own money for it. My dad paid for everything else like utilities. I can still taste the protein powders if I try hard enough. enough. Also, regarding on if my mom and I have shared interests and talking to my mom, I used to make videos and help her with technology when she needs it. But making videos fell out of my hobbies a while ago. Even if I make the occasional thing, I tend to keep it in my drafts and maybe show her if she wants to see it. I don't send her things since I never find out where it goes after, minus the fact she shared it. I mean, if she asks for me to send it, I just say sure and she forgets about it. I haven't told her over how frustrated it makes me. I really don't throw around the word mad or hate because it usually feels strong for me, but based on some of the other comments, I understand talking to her is something I need to do. Update. A few weeks after the original post, I did try to sit her down. I started to explain to her I didn't want to be posted or predominantly featured on her account, minus maybe family photos or major events. I do understand that Facebook is important to her and I wouldn't want to stop her. I just wanted to feel more acknowledged by her as a person and not another character to livestream or post. She called me ungrateful, that she employs herself to have 2 jobs to support my wants, and she works so hard for me. Her original job is being employed by my father, by the way. He pays all the bills and covers everything. The money she earns is for partially spending. She still uses his credit card and to pay off debts. She counts Facebook as her second job between all the time it takes. According to my father, it's under minimum wage. He recently started bringing up the fact that she is on Facebook during her work, and it's impacting how much she gets done in the day. Anyway, she yelled at me for over 30 minutes and ended with her crying and ordering me away. It's not as good as it looks. Most sit-downs end up this way. I asked to go to therapy before and it had a similar ending. For a while, she slowed down on taking photos of food. This was because of my dad telling her to stop, that most of it's not worth it and it was getting annoying. When we were eating at a restaurant, she takes photos of her own food while making comments how we won't support her by taking photos of our meals and being upset and dramatic over it. The habit started picking back up again of taking photos of food, so I started getting dishes that looked as unappealing as possible, side of fries, salads of just mixed greens, etc., just so it's not photographed. She still posts often, and I saw someone comment about doxing, but her page has my town posted along with photos of my house. When she leaves for a trip, she posts when she leaves and where she is in the moment. My dad heavily disapproves and thinks it should be posted after we return. It terrifies me just that much is online about me. When she leaves just me and my brother alone, I become scared that someone could easily break in. My brother also started becoming bothered by her. On a trip, she posted a video of my brother sleeping, which his friends ended up finding. That started ticking him off until he started talking about even though he's fine with filming, it's the in excess getting to him. He's always been closer to her than I have, and I just hope it doesn't affect their future relationship any more than it already has. I also found posts on YouTube and TikTok reading out my previous post, and I wanted to address a few frequent comments. The most frequent one being that people wouldn't be able to handle it, and they would toss the phone or try and sabotage one way or another. I appreciate the comments, and I got a good laugh out of some of them, but the harsher truth is being in the situation. Retaliation is a lot harder, especially since I would have to be put under a unsavory limelight. Along with the fact that she carries around 2 phones. Destroying one would do little, while getting me in trouble with both parents. Another one being divorce. My parents can communicate and divorce is something they both don't want. My dad encourages me to ignore my mom's antics, and we both know she loves me and is trying to be a parent, which is a difficult task with little to no instructions. My mom isn't from where I'm from. For all I know, it could be a good outlet for her and keeps her connected with her home country and people from where she's from. Finally, I'd want to thank the people who said I was patient, but I am really not. I'm just used to it. When it's how you grow up, you don't think about it as much, even if it bothers you. Giving into her lifestyle is a habit, and I plan on living by just trying to stay under the radar. Okay, y'all, we have never had a story like this before. And like at first, the title, it sounds kind of funny because it's so egregious, but you know, this is child neglect, right? This 16-year-old girl, and I don't remember how old the brother is, these children are kind of bereft of their mother, who seems to be occupied with her minimum wage job, by the way. Also, when I was reading the story, I was thinking all the way through, what if we canceled her? That would be funny. But It's ridiculous, and I feel bad for OP. And then the mom doesn't believe in therapy. And it seems like OP was trying to justify it a little at the end. It's not healthy. That's not normal, all right? Even people whose jobs are to make online content creation are probably not that obsessed. There's a time and a place, but she wants everything to revolve around her and has to document everything. No, girl, you need to stop. You got a daughter and a son and a husband who, it's ridiculous. What do you do about that? I don't know. I don't know how you stop that as the child. And the husband is like, ignore it. I don't think he's trying to put a stop to it because it's a minimum wage job. She's not doing anything for the family. Anyway, oh my goodness, next story. Story number 4. My daughter's ex-boyfriend is soliciting me to sleep with him. My daughter's ex-boyfriend took my cat when they broke up. He contacted me a couple of days later and said he would return the cat if I would sleep with him. I want to know what my legal options are. I live in Oklahoma. Also, some people are asking how old is the boyfriend and mentioning that if I trade sex with him for the cat, that I'm engaging in prostitution. He is 18, and I am in no way considering doing it. I want to know if I can use his demand against him. I have also tried filing a police report for stolen property. The officer said it was a civil matter and wouldn't take the report. This was before the daughter's ex made his demand. Update: I got my cat back. After seeing everyone's responses to my last post, I decided on a course of action to get my cat back. Long story short, I was able to contact my daughter's ex and told him I would do what he asked. But it had to be at my house, and I had to be able to see my cat first, so I would know he even brought it with him. He agreed and showed up at my house with my cat. As soon as he was in the house and I had possession of my cat and had her back with me, my boyfriend, who is also my daughter's father, and my daughter's new boyfriend both came out of the bedroom and nicely escorted the ex-boyfriend off of my property without further incident. Thank you all for your comments and advice. So, the ex-boyfriend, he was on the hub a bit too much, if you know what I mean. He was online cranking his hog. What did he think that was really gonna work? Maybe? I don't know. I doubt it. And also, he was dumb enough to fall for that trap. Oh my goodness. But you know what? It's good that he's dumb because OP got her cat back. And now she can meow all around the house without a care in the world. Good for that cat. Good for OP. Good for the father boyfriend. And good for the new boyfriend. Bad for the ex-boyfriend. But anyway, guys, that is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Feel free to leave a comment or something. I don't know. Watch another video. I don't know. Press a button. You know how YouTube works. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.